the vast majority of people are not aware of where their disposable income is actually going. I know that things are difficult right now with everything that we need, essentials being very expensive, but everyone seems to, the vast majority of people will say that they are living paycheck to paycheck, and it's because things are too expensive. Now, I know that that's true for a lot of people, but another thing that most people don't do, and I think most folks have never done, is really sit down and scrutinize their spending. And when I say scrutinize their spending, it's not what they think they spend money on. It's literally taking the last 30 or 60 days or 90 days of bank statements, credit card statements, and poring over them with a fine tooth comb and looking at every single transaction, where it happened, how much you spent, and how often you go there. If most people did that, they would realize that their money isn't entirely being eaten up by the cost of living and the cost of insurance or gas or whatever. I'm not saying that those things aren't eating up people's money or taking up more of their income. They definitely are. But a lot of people will say that they can't save any money because everything is too expensive, and if they don't do anything, even if they didn't do anything fun, they wouldn't be able to save that much money, or it would feel inconsequential and it would make a marginal difference to their lives. But the truth is, outside of living beyond your means, as far as where you choose to rent or what kind of car you choose to drive and what your car payment looks like, there are a lot of opportunities to save money. And I think that what I've noticed in my experience is the vast majority of people don't ever truly scrutinize where their money goes. And if you never actually do that, you don't understand how much you've spent in your typical daily spending habits outside of essentials. Because you think in your mind that maybe you just get coffee a couple times a week, or maybe you go out to eat once or twice a week or once or twice a month. But if you actually sit down and look at all the transactions that you have over the last 90 days, you'll see how often you actually go out. And for the vast majority of people, unless they're very, very strict, they're going out way more than they think. They're spending way more than they think. When they round it up in their head, they don't take into consideration, they don't do the math properly, and they don't always remember every single place that they went, and they don't have an exact idea. You don't know exactly where your money is going unless you sit there and pore over it and tally everything up and organize it in a way where you can put it on an Excel sheet and say, okay, this is where I spent, if you tally all of it up, then you'll be able to see how much you spent at specific places over the last however many days. So I think 90 days is a good point, good enough timeline to do it. And if you look at the last 90 days and you start totaling up where the money's going, and you put it and you look at it at a glance, you will see that there's probably a decent amount of disposable income that you could save. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy yourself or you shouldn't live your life, but you can probably see and find gaps where you will understand where a lot of your money is going and where you can save it. Because not every single fun thing that you spend money on is something that you absolutely have to do. I know that that's a nice thing people like to think to themselves. They say, oh, well, this keeps me sane, or these things are important, or they help me out. And I'm sure that they do. But if you really are in a bad financial situation and you want to get out of it, you're going to have to scrutinize where your money is going. And if you don't actually measure and look specifically at the problem, you're going to keep making these vague assumptions about how expensive everything is, and that's why you're broke or you're living paycheck to paycheck. And again, I'm not discrediting the fact that everything is crazy expensive, but having gone through this myself, I made those same excuses. I used those same reasonings and justifications to myself. And when I actually went through and looked at all my spending, I realized there's a good amount that I could be saving if I cut back on some of the recreational stuff that I was doing, some of the fun stuff that I was doing. And again, I'm not saying don't do it at all. I'm just saying cut it back. Because if you do cut that back and you start to save that money instead of spending it, you're going to start to feel infinitely better. You will feel better having more money stacked in your bank account than you will going out as much as you do or spending money on whatever it is that you do. And the great thing is that if you do that long enough, you'll have more and more money, and you'll start to understand what you actually enjoy, what brings you enough joy that you feel good and energized afterwards, and what you were just doing to escape the pain. So if you find yourself in a situation where you feel as if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you feel that you can't save any money at all, do this exercise. Literally take the last 90 days, every single transaction on every credit card, debit card, whatever. Look through your bank statements, look at every single thing and track where that money went. Total it up, throw it into an Excel sheet, break it out into categories, and get an idea of where the money's actually going. And I'm sure you'll find that you can save a good amount of money, or there's places where you can cut back. And if you do the exercise and you realize that that's not the case, that you are being very strict with your spending and things are just way too expensive and they're beyond your means, that can also help you figure out what other, help you come up with another solution. So I know it's tough, but if you are in that situation, it could be time to start looking for another job or downsize your living situation or get a second job or something, or even ask for some help from someone. All of those things are fine. Those are all good ideas, and those are all ways that you can those are all paths you could take to find a way out of the situation or ask for help. But either way, I think this is a good exercise for everyone to do, to get an actual real idea of where did your money go in the last 60 days or 90 days. I think 90 days is the best way to do it. And then tally it up and have it square in your face. So then you will actually know where the money's gone, as opposed to just assuming it's because everything else is so expensive nowadays. So highly recommend trying this out. I think it's an amazing exercise, and I think that most people will be shocked when they understand how much of their money has gone to different places in the last 3 months.